My name is Ira, and this is the story of how my mother told me, over and over again, that I wasn't smart enough to achieve anything in life, and how I proved her wrong by getting into Harvard. But before you think this is some cheesy inspirational story, let me tell you something. This story is messy. It's painful. It's filled with betrayal, secrets, and lies, so deep that sometimes I still wonder how my own mother could do that to me. The truth is, she wasn't just cruel because she didn't believe in me. She was cruel because she was hiding something. Something so big that when I finally discovered it, my entire life changed forever. So let me take you back. I can't remember the first time she said it, because honestly, it feels like she was saying it my whole life. But I do remember the first time it broke me. I was 7 years old. My school was holding a little spelling bee. I had been practicing with flashcards every night under the blanket, using a flashlight I stole from my cousin. I was proud. I thought maybe if I won, maybe if I showed her that I could be smart, she'd finally look at me differently. That morning, I walked into the kitchen with my flashcards, buzzing with excitement. "Mom, test me. Please? Just a few words. I know I can get them right." She didn't even turn around from the sink. She didn't smile. She didn't say good luck. She just said flatly, "Stop wasting your time, Ira. You're not like your cousins. You're not smart enough for that." I felt the words in my stomach like a punch. But I still went to school. I still stood on that stage with my shaky knees and sweaty palms. And when they said the final word, I spelled it right. I won. I remember clutching that little ribbon, running home, heart pounding, thinking, this is it. This will change everything. She'll see me now. When I held it out to her, she glanced at it for barely a second and muttered, "Don't get a big head. It's probably just an easy competition. Anyone could have won." That was the first time I realized I could succeed and still feel like a failure. As I grew up, it only got worse. My cousins were the stars of the family. Straight A's, tutors, soccer trophies, piano recitals. At every family gathering, they were praised like royalty. Their parents would brag about them, while my mother sat in the corner, arms crossed, acting like she didn't care. But I cared. Oh, I cared. I tried harder. I stayed in the library after school so I wouldn't have to study at home under her watchful, mocking eyes. I joined clubs. I raised my hand in class. My teachers noticed me. My English teacher told me I had a gift for writing, and my math teacher said I was one of his fastest learners. And yet, every time I brought something home, it was the same. An honor roll certificate? Probably a mistake. A debate club ribbon? It's not like you won first place. A science project award? Don't waste your time. You're not going to be a scientist. It was like she couldn't allow me to succeed. Like my achievements threatened her. The worst moment came when I was 15. Our high school hosted a presentation from Harvard. They came with their glossy brochures and polished speakers, talking about opportunities, scholarships, and the kind of future that sounded almost unreal. I sat in the auditorium, with my heart pounding, hanging on to every word. I could see myself there, walking across the campus, sitting in those lecture halls, becoming someone more than the girl who was always told she'd never be good enough. That night at dinner, I decided to take a risk. "Mom," I said carefully, "Harvard came to our school today. I think I want to apply there someday." The fork slipped out of her hand and clattered against her plate. She looked at me like I had just told her I was moving to Mars. And then she laughed. Not a warm laugh. Not even a nervous laugh. No, this was sharp, cruel, the kind of laugh that makes your skin prickle. "Harvard? You? Don't make me choke on my food. You can barely handle your little school now. Harvard isn't for people like you. Don't embarrass yourself." My cousin smirked from across the table. My aunt smothered a laugh. My face burned so hot, I wanted to disappear. But something strange happened that night. Yes, her words stung. Yes, I cried myself to sleep. But when I closed my eyes, I kept hearing one thought over and over again. What if she's wrong? And then slowly, I'll prove she's wrong. That was the night I made myself a promise. One day, I was going to get into Harvard, and when I did, I would make sure my mother could never forget the moment she told me I wasn't smart enough. By the time I turned 16, my life at home felt like a battlefield. Every day was a war I fought in silence. A war against low expectations, against cruel words, against the suffocating weight of being told I wasn't good enough. If you walked into our house, you might not notice it right away. My mother didn't scream. She didn't hit me. No. Her weapon of choice was quieter, sharper. Her weapon was humiliation. She mocked me when I stayed up late to study. She rolled her eyes when I tried to talk about books. She told relatives at family gatherings that I was slow compared to my cousins. And the worst part, they believed her. At dinners, my cousins would brag about their A's while their parents clapped and cheered. Then all eyes would slide to me, waiting for me to say something. I'd mumble that I got an A too. But before I could finish, my mother would cut in with a laugh. Please. The teacher probably gave it to her out of pity. Everyone would laugh with her. Everyone but me. I'd sit there frozen, my cheeks burning, gripping my fork so tightly my knuckles turned white. But instead of breaking me, it lit a fire in me. If they thought I wasn't smart enough, I was going to prove them wrong. That year, I started hiding my books under my bed. If my mom saw me studying, she'd take my notes and rip them up, saying, "Don't waste your time. You'll just embarrass yourself when you fail." So I learned to study in secret. I stayed after school, spending hours in the library where no one could stop me. I begged teachers for extra assignments. I joined the debate club, even though my mother said I'd make a fool of myself. And little by little, I got better. My essays started winning school contests. I moved up to advanced math. I became one of the top scorers on practice ACE. I still remember the first time my math teacher, Mr. Reynolds, pulled me aside. He held up my test paper. A perfect score. "Do you realize what you're capable of, Ira?" he asked. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to say I did. But the truth was, every time I heard those words in my head, "You're not smart enough," I felt like a fraud. So instead, I whispered, "I don't know." He leaned closer. "Well, I do. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise." That moment stuck with me. For the first time in years, I felt like maybe I wasn't crazy for dreaming of Harvard. But the harder I worked, the harder my mother fought back. One night, I stayed up late, working on an essay for a statewide competition. When I went to the bathroom, I came back to find my paper gone. My mother stood at the trash can, shredding it into pieces. "Why?" I choked out. She didn't even look guilty. She just said, "Because you'll only humiliate yourself. Better to quit now." I gathered the scraps off the floor, my hands shaking, my throat tight. I didn't cry, not in front of her. But later in bed, the tears came. That was the night I swore she would never see me break again. Then came the whispers. At family gatherings, my cousins started making jokes. "Hey Ira, when you get rejected from Harvard, can we frame the letter?" "Don't worry, Ira. Maybe they'll let you sweep the floors at Harvard." Everyone laughed. Even my mother. Especially my mother. But behind my fake smile, I was building something. I was collecting proof. Every award, every certificate, every score. I kept them in a folder under my mattress, my secret arsenal. One day, I told myself, I'd pull it out and show them all. And then, one night, everything changed. I was lying in bed, pretending to sleep, when I heard her voice. My mother. She was on the phone in the kitchen. Her voice low, urgent. "She's getting too ambitious," she whispered. "She keeps talking about Harvard. I've tried to stop her, but she won't give up." There was a pause. My heart pounded as I pressed my ear against the wall. "She can't find out the truth," my mother hissed. "Not yet. If she goes there, she'll learn everything. And then it's over." I froze. The truth? What truth? What was so dangerous about Harvard that my own mother was desperate to keep me away from it? I didn't know then, but I knew one thing. I was going to find out. The night I overheard my mother whispering about the truth, I barely slept. My mind spun with questions. What was she hiding from me? Why was Harvard the trigger? But the next morning, when I looked at her across the breakfast table, she acted like nothing had happened. She buttered her toast, sipped her coffee, and gave me that same dismissive smirk when I opened my notebook. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to demand answers. But something told me to stay quiet, to play along, because now I knew there was more to this than just her cruelty. She wasn't just trying to crush my dreams. She was protecting something, hiding something. And I was going to find out what. By senior year, I was a storm bottled up in human form. I worked harder than I thought possible. While my friends went to parties, I stayed in the library. While my cousins bragged about their sports trophies, I collected academic awards like weapons for a war I hadn't yet defined. I applied to Harvard in complete secrecy. My mother thought I was only applying to the local community college, like she always wanted. But late at night, when she was asleep, I filled out the real applications. I poured my soul into that Harvard essay. I wrote about what it meant to be underestimated, about resilience, about how people told me I wasn't smart enough, and how I refused to believe them. I didn't write her name, but every word carried her shadow. Then came the waiting game. Every day, I checked the mailbox before she could. I couldn't risk her finding the envelope first. But weeks passed, and nothing came. Until one afternoon, I came home early from school. The house was quiet, too quiet. Then I saw it. My mother was at the kitchen table, an envelope in her hands. My envelope, the crimson Harvard crest stamped across the corner. She was holding it like it was poison. "What's that?" I asked, my voice shaking. She jumped, shoving the letter under a pile of magazines. "Nothing. Junk mail." I stepped closer. "It's not junk. Give it to me." Her eyes turned cold. "You don't need to see this, Ira. You'll only get hurt." And that's when I snapped. "No, you don't get to decide that anymore." My voice cracked, but I didn't care. "This is my life, not yours." For a moment, she just stared at me. Then, slowly, deliberately, she tore the envelope in half, right in front of me. I gasped, lunging forward, grabbing at the pieces before they hit the floor. My hands shook as I tried to fit them back together. All I could see were fragments. My name, the seal, the first line of text. Congratulations, that was all I needed. It was an acceptance letter. I had done it. I had actually gotten into Harvard. But my mother, she wanted to erase it. She wanted to erase me. That night, I locked myself in my room and cried harder than I had in years. Not because she doubted me. I was used to that, but because she had tried to steal the moment I'd been working toward my whole life. I should have felt triumphant, but instead, all I felt was grief that my own mother saw my success as a threat. The next morning, she acted like nothing had happened. She hummed while making breakfast, smiled when she asked if I'd decided about community college yet. But inside me, something had broken. Or maybe something had been born. Because from that day forward, I wasn't just chasing Harvard. I was chasing the truth. And when I finally uncovered it, it shattered everything I thought I knew about who I was. After the letter incident, something inside me shifted. I didn't just see my mother as strict anymore. I saw her as dangerous. Because what kind of mother tries to destroy her own child's future? And why? The words she'd whispered that night on the phone replayed in my head. The truth. There was something bigger at play, and I wasn't going to stop until I found it. It started small. I began snooping. I checked her drawers when she was out grocery shopping. I peeked at old family albums, tax documents, anything I could get my hands on. At first it was nothing but receipts, utility bills, old photos of me and my cousins. But then, I found it. A locked wooden box, shoved in the back of her closet. I pried it open with a butter knife, my heart racing so loud I swore it would give me away. Inside were papers, yellowed and folded, but neatly stacked. The first one I pulled out stopped me cold. It was a letter. A Harvard letter. Not addressed to me. Addressed to someone else. To my father. I froze. My father had died when I was very young. At least, that's what my mother always told me. She said he was nothing special. A man who barely finished school. She said I didn't need to know more. But the letter in my hand said otherwise. It was an acceptance letter to Harvard. My father had been accepted. I sat there on the closet floor, the paper trembling in my hands, my brain spinning. Why would she lie about this? The next documents made it worse. There were transcripts, certificates, even a faded photo of a young man on the steps of Harvard Yard. My father, smiling, alive. And then the bombshell. A court document, a custody agreement. I skimmed it, my breath catching at every line. It wasn't just about my father leaving. It was about my mother taking me away from him. There had been a legal battle, a fight over who I should live with, and my mother, she'd won. She hadn't just hidden my father's past, she had hidden him. When she came home that evening, I couldn't look at her the same. She noticed, of course. She always noticed. "What's with you?" she asked, narrowing her eyes as she set down the grocery. I wanted to scream. "You lied to me. You stole my father from me." But instead, I whispered, "Why didn't you ever tell me the truth about him?" She froze. Her hands tightened on the paper bag. "What truth?" she asked carefully. I swallowed hard. "That he went to Harvard." For the first time in my life, I saw real fear flicker across her face. It was gone in an instant, replaced with anger. "That doesn't matter," she snapped. "He was nothing. He left us. Forget about him." But her voice cracked, and I knew. She wasn't afraid of me, knowing my father was smart. She was afraid of me finding him. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the weight of it all crushing me. My whole life, she'd told me I wasn't good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. But the truth, she knew I was his daughter. She knew I had his blood. She knew I could succeed. And that terrified her. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I couldn't focus. All I could think about was my father. Was he still alive? Did he even know about me? Had he ever tried to contact me? The questions clawed at me until I couldn't take it anymore. I had to find out. So one afternoon, while my mother was at work, I opened her laptop. I searched his name, and when I saw the results, my entire world turned upside down. Typing his name into the search bar felt unreal, like crossing a line I wasn't supposed to cross. My hands shook so badly, I had to retype it 3 times. And then, there he was. His photo appeared on the screen, older now, gray in his hair. But the same man from the faded Harvard picture in that box. Dr. Daniel Carter. Professor, author, speaker, alive. Not dead like my mother told me. Not forgotten. Not nothing. He was everything. I scrolled through page after page, my chest tightening. He'd written books, given lectures. His name was everywhere. He was respected, admired, a man of influence. And the whole time, he'd been living his life while I was being told he was gone. Tears blurred my vision. My entire childhood had been built on a lie. Why would she tell me he was dead? That night, I confronted her. I couldn't hold it in any longer. "You lied to me," I shouted, my voice cracking. "You said he was dead." Her face went pale. "What are you talking about? I found him. He's alive. He's a professor. You knew this. You knew and you hid it from me." For the first time, she didn't have a quick answer. She just stood there, her lips trembling, her fists clenching and unclenching. Finally, she spat out, "Because he didn't want you, Aira. He walked away. He chose Harvard, his career, over us." Her words cut deep, but something in her eyes, something in her voice, told me she wasn't giving me the whole truth. "Then why the custody papers?" I demanded. Her mouth opened, then closed. Checkmate. The silence between us stretched, heavy and suffocating. Finally, she whispered, "You don't understand. He's dangerous." Dangerous. I almost laughed. The man I saw online didn't look dangerous. He looked brilliant, respected. But then I thought back to her phone call, the panic in her voice. If she goes there, she'll learn everything, and then it's over. Was my father hiding something, or was she? I couldn't take her word for it anymore. I needed answers from him directly, so I emailed him. It took me hours to write. Rewriting, deleting, rewriting again. Finally, I sent one line. "My name is Aira. I think I'm your daughter." Then I waited. Minutes. Hours. Days. No reply. Until 1 week later, I saw his name in my inbox. My breath caught as I clicked. "Aira, if this is real, if you are who I think you are, then you need to know the truth. Your mother never told you why I stayed away. It wasn't by choice. It was because of her." My heart pounded in my chest. My hands went cold. Because in that moment, everything I thought I knew about betrayal shattered. This wasn't just about Harvard. This wasn't just about my future. This was about my entire past. And the real story was just beginning. My father's email sat glowing on my screen, every word burning into me. It wasn't by choice, it was because of her. I read it over and over until the letters blurred. My mother hadn't just lied. She had stolen him from me. She had kept me from a man who wanted me. A man who fought for me. The ground beneath me felt like it was crumbling. All those years, the loneliness, the cruel words, the way she tore down my dreams. It wasn't just her being strict. It was control. It was fear. She hadn't wanted me to become like him. She hadn't wanted me to discover the truth. I wrote back, my fingers trembling. Tell me everything. And he did. Piece by piece, he told me the story. How they'd met in college. How they'd married young. How when I was born, he wanted to give me the world. But my mother didn't want the life he offered. She resented his ambition, his Harvard world, the long nights of study and work. When they separated, he fought for custody. He wanted me. He filed papers. He showed up in court. But my mother lied. She told the judge he was unstable, that he was obsessed with work, that he would neglect me, and the court believed her. By the time he appealed, it was too late. She'd taken me and disappeared. She even told him I would be better off thinking he was dead. Dead. The word made my stomach turn. My entire life had been rewritten by her lies. And now I was supposed to just live under her roof and pretend I didn't know. No. That night, I made my choice. The confrontation was a storm I'll never forget. She was sitting at the kitchen table, flipping through bills. When I walked in with my laptop, I slammed it down in front of her, his email glowing on the screen. She froze. You lied, I whispered. My voice shook, but my hands didn't. You told me he was dead. You told me he didn't want me, but I know the truth now. Her face drained of color. For once, she had no quick comeback. Do you have any idea what you've done to me? I choked. Do you know how it feels to grow up believing you're nothing? That even your own father didn't want you? Do you know how much I hated myself because of you? Her lips trembled. I was protecting you. Protecting me, I laughed bitterly. You weren't protecting me. You were protecting yourself. You couldn't stand the thought of me choosing him, of me seeing through you. You didn't want me to be smarter than you, stronger than you, better than you. The silence was deafening. And then, for the first time in my life, I saw it. Not anger, not superiority, but shame flicker across her face. She opened her mouth, but I didn't let her speak. Save it, I said coldly. I'm going to Harvard, with or without your support. And I'm going to meet my father. You can't stop me anymore. And I meant it. With my father's help, I appealed for financial aid. He wrote to the university on my behalf. When I stepped foot on Harvard's campus for the first time, it wasn't just a dream come true. It was proof. Proof that every cruel word, every doubt, every humiliation had been wrong. I wasn't not smart enough. I wasn't trash. I wasn't nothing. I was Ira, and I had made it. The day I walked across Harvard Yard to meet him, my father for the first time, I felt my chest ache with a mix of grief and joy. He hugged me, like he'd been waiting my whole life, and in a way he had. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I pulled back and shook my head. Don't be. I know the truth now, and that's enough. As for my mother, she tried calling. She tried emailing, sometimes with apologies, sometimes with anger, but I don't need her approval anymore. For years, I craved her validation, her love, her recognition. But Harvard taught me something more important than textbooks ever could. Validation doesn't come from people who want to keep you small. It comes from proving them wrong. And I did. So here's the lesson I leave you with. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones who fear our success the most, but you don't have to let their fear become your cage. Because no matter who doubts you, no matter who tells you you're not enough, you are, I am, and I always will be. Thank you for listening.